I think Buffett has made a very, very important, comment. He says that investing is simple but not easy. Essentially, what it means is that the rules that we need to apply to make good investment decisions are fairly easy to learn. But the problem is that when you actually get to a point where the investment decision has to be made, you tend to be influenced by the behavioral biases that we all suffer from. Let us go back to the theory of natural selection, which was propagated by Charles Darwin. What this theory says is that human traits are heritable. Now, people who have these favored traits disproportionately are successful in reproduction. What happens over a period of time is the entire population has certain favored traits. So I and you are sitting here because there are certain traits that our ancestors had, and these traits help them survive. It's easy to take a person out of Stone Age, but it's not easy to take the Stone Age out of the person. And these favored traits that have worked wonderfully in the jungles and helped us survive, unfortunately, they do not help us in the markets. One of the most critical bias that we have is the bias of fear. And fear has been a favored trait. To explain that, let us imagine that we are in the Stone Age. And imagine that you see a black object in front of you. It could either be a stone or a bear. People who will take the risk think probabilistically and say that, oh, it's a stone, it's not a bear, so I do not move. People who've constantly taken this decision have been eliminated. Look at the other set of people. They run for their lives. All these people have actually had a survival advantage. And we are here, I and you are sitting here because our ancestors had this bias of fear, and it was actually a favored trait that helped them survive. But unfortunately, it does not work in the markets. One of the important differentiating mechanisms that we use to value a company is that we use a EBV band. It is an estimated business value band. If you look at the investment community today and you look at the broker reports, what you will see is that they will give a pinpoint valuation of a company. What we believe is that nothing in the markets is pinpoint, nothing in the markets is certain. It is all a range of possibilities. One of the examples where we saw the bias of fear play out in the markets is Maruti Suzuki. A few years back, they had a labor crisis in their plant. There were clashes between the unions and the management, and actually it led to a death of a senior employee in the organization. And these ugly news flows made the market participants fearful of the prospects of Maruti and led to the stock price coming down. What we try to do with our process is we don't chase the price, we let the price come to us. In this particular case, the price started coming into our bands and all the way to near our low end. The quantitative factors were very good in Maruti. Our grade was high, our valuation band suggested that the reward to risk was high. Of course, we don't ignore the qualitative factors and say, okay, we have a behavioral edge and we don't need to analyze what's happening on the ground. We made certain observations of similar clashes happening in the past. The perspective that we had was, this is a solvable problem. It's not going to dent the consumer confidence in the company. With this perspective, we said that this is a bet where we can exploit a certain behavioral edge over the other market participants. So the markets work as a pendulum shifting between fear and greed, and at points of fear, we will try to capitalize on these rare opportunities that come our way. So another important bias is the bias of herding. Our ancestors essentially were people who sought comfort in the company of others and sought validations of their opinions from others, and they have benefited in the process of survival because of herding. There have been many examples of herding leading to certain bubbles being created in the markets. Why is that so? That is because it is a very comfortable decision. It is a consensus decision. And the investors, largely the retail investors and some non-retail investors as well, tend to get into these cycles at their peak. So there are many examples where this bias has been visible, right from the tulipomania, where the prices of tulips were at ridiculous levels, to the tech bubble in 2000, where any company just had to have the name technology in it and it got priced at a ridiculous level, to the global financial crisis where there was a housing bubble and the banks lent money to people with no incomes, no jobs, just thinking that housing prices will never come down. We at Multi-Act have a process which we call the Global Rational Analysis Framework. This is a process devised over the last 15 years. It has seen many cycles and it has gone through a process of evolution where there has been constant feedback that we've received from the markets and imbibed that in our process. And we believe that this process gives us a behavioral edge. We largely hire freshers at Multi-Act because we don't want them to come with their own sets of biases, and we have various mechanisms of training them in a way that they think counterintuitively, and as they move along their career path at Multi-Act, they tend to appreciate differential perspectives, and over time they take decisions that might be uncomfortable, might be against the consensus, but which offer them better reward to risks.
The most important determinant of the return to a portfolio is really the asset allocation. What drives those returns is, what is the sort of, economic regime.
Most of the people rely on price to earnings, for example, to understand valuation of a company. Price, as an investor, you would know, but earnings is something which is not in your control. It's reported by somebody else per se. Now, I want to make sure that as an investor, I am doubly sure about this earnings, and that's where quality of earnings analysis helps me make this investing decision easy.